Can you imagine waking up every morning knowing your life's work is under siege? For years, Officer James Blake had it easy, collecting dirty money, keeping folks terrified, and propping up a corrupt system that crushed anyone who dared resist. Every shop paid up, every whisper of dissent vanished, and every threat was buried deep. It was a perfect, twisted machine, until Blake strutted into the wrong auto shop, picking a fight with a man who'd faced far worse than a badge with an attitude. Now Harold Carter, a 72-year-old Vietnam veteran who'd never bowed to anyone, sits in a cold jail cell on charges so flimsy they'd make you laugh if they weren't so cruel. But oh, Blake's about to get a wake-up call that'll chill him to the bone. That one phone call Harold made from behind bars? It wasn't to some small-town lawyer, it was to his son, Colonel Damen Carter, a Delta Force commander known as the Ghost. When a man like that learns his father's been wronged, corrupt cops like Blake are about to discover that some nightmares come dressed in military precision. In Milbrook, justice isn't just knocking, it's kicking down the door. Picture Harold Carter, his hands weathered from decades of honest labor, wiping grease off with a tattered red rag in the heart of Carter's auto repair. Can you hear the hum of a 2015 Toyota Camry's engine, its failing water pump singing a tune only a master like Harold could diagnose after 43 years fixing cars? Sunlight pours through the open bay doors, catching dust motes dancing in golden beams, while the sharp scents of motor oil, rubber, and metal wrap around you like a familiar hug. This shop, built from the ashes of an abandoned building on Milbrook's edge, is Harold's slice of the American dream, a dream forged after the nightmares of Vietnam. At 72, his joints creak louder than they used to, but 6 days a week he's there, pouring his soul into every bolt and piston. Isn't it incredible how a man can turn sweat and grit into a legacy? On the wall by his workbench, a gallery of photographs tells a story that'd make your heart swell. There's young Harold, proud in his army uniform, eyes blazing with hope. Next to him, his late wife Margaret beams, cradling their newborn son Damon. Oh, how her smile must have lit up Harold's darkest days. Awards and certificates from decades of honest work line the wall, but at the center, shining like medals of valor, are his 2 Purple Hearts and a Bronze Star, earned in the sweltering jungles of Vietnam. Can you feel the weight of those honors, the sacrifices they represent? The bell above the office door chimes, snapping Harold from his focus on a stubborn bolt. "Be right with you," he calls, his deep voice echoing through the garage, steady as ever. But then, a voice slithers back, chilling the air. "Take your time, old man. We've got all day." Doesn't that tone just make your skin crawl? Harold's spine stiffens. He knows that sneer, that smug drawl of Officer James Blake, Milbrook's so-called finest, which is just a fancy way of saying the most crooked cop in town. Setting down his wrench, Harold turns, and there they are, 3 officers looming in his garage like vultures. Blake, tall and pale with close-cropped blonde hair and icy blue eyes, stands front and center, flanked by Officers Thompson and Walker, their faces twisted with that look that screams trouble. Can you see the menace in their stance, the way they're itching to throw their weight around?
"What can I do for you, gentlemen?"
Harold asks, his voice calm, professional, but oh, can't you feel the unease churning in his gut? Blake saunters forward, dragging a finger along the Camry's hood with a mocking grin, inspecting it like he's auditioning for a bad cop movie. "Nice operation you've got here, Carter. Real nice. Been here what, 40 years?
43, Harold correct, standing firm.
43 years, Blake whistles, low and fake. That's a long time to run a business in this town. Must be doing something right, huh? Don't you just want to wipe that smirk off his face? Harold watches Blake circle the car, his eyes narrowing. He's seen this dance before, intimidation pure and simple, the kind he faced in Vietnam when enemies tried to break his spirit. "I do honest work for honest pay. Always have," he says, his words like steel. But Blake leans against the Camry's fender, casual as a snake sunning itself. "See, that's the thing," he drawls. "Times are changing. Costs are going up, insurance, regulations, safety inspections. It's getting harder for small businesses to stay afloat, wouldn't you agree?" Oh, isn't that just the oldest trick in the book, cloaking a shakedown in fake concern? The threat's as clear as a neon sign. Harold's heard the whispers. Other businesses, especially those owned by folks like him, black and proud, getting squeezed by cops demanding protection fees. Refuse, and your life becomes a nightmare. "I manage just fine," Harold replies, his voice steady as a rock, "and my insurance and inspections are all up to date." Thompson, A stocky man with a scowl that could curdle milk steps forward. Nobody's questioning that, Mr. Carter. We're here as community liaisons, making sure local businesses have the support they need. Support?
Can you believe the nerve?
It's extortion wearing a badge.
Harold bit bacalog, bitter à black coffee.
He thinks of Damen, his son, out there in the world, doing classified things that make Harold's heart swell with pride and worry. What would Damen do right now? But Damen's halfway across the globe, and this fight? It's Harold's alone. I fought real enemies before, he says quietly, locking eyes with Blake. You? You're just bullies in uniform. Doesn't that defiance just make you want to cheer? The garage feels like it drops 10 degrees. Blake's fake smile vanishes, replaced by something dark, something raw. He straightens, his hand resting on his holstered gun, all casual menace. Careful, old man, he sneers. That sounds like disrespecting a police officer. Could be seen as disturbing the peace. But Harold? He doesn't flinch. I served this country with honor, he says, voice steady as a drumbeat, earned 2 Purple Hearts and a Bronze Star. I know my rights, and I know what you're really here for. Walker, the youngest cop, shifts uncomfortably. Maybe there's a shred of decency in him? But Blake? He just grins, a cold, shark-like smile that doesn't touch his eyes. $500 a month, he says flat out. Consider it a community support initiative. Keeps the neighborhood safe, makes sure nothing bad happens to your business. Can you feel the weight of that threat, like a noose tightening? Harold's hands ball into fists, his knuckles whitening. No, he snaps, the word ringing like a gunshot. Blake raises an eyebrow, mocking. Maybe you should sleep on it. Think about what could happen to a place like this. Cars are complicated machines. Lots of things can go wrong.
Fear start, windows break.
Would be a shame if something happened and emergency services were delayed. The air's thick with menace, like smoke choking the room. Harold's mind races, his shop, his customers, his life's work, all hanging in the balance. But he remembers his father's words, give in to bullies, and you lose something you'll never get back. Isn't that a lesson worth fighting for?
Get out of my shop.
Harold commands, his voice booming with the authority of a man who led soldiers through hell. Unless you're here for actual police business, we're done. Blake's face twists, fury flashing in his eyes. He steps close, towering over Harold, using his height to intimidate. You're making a mistake, old man, he hisses. A big one. The only mistake, Harold fires back, calm as a storm's eye, was thinking you could scare me. I stared down real killers, men who believed in something, even if it was wrong. You? You're just a thug with a badge. Blake's hand tightens on his gun, the tension crackling like lightning. Harold stands tall, unflinching, his eyes boring into Blake's.
Can you feel the standoff, the clash of wheels?
For a heartbeat, it's like the world holds its breath. Then Blake steps back, his rage barely leashed. Let's go, boys, he snarls. Mr. Carter needs time to reconsider his position. But at the garage door, he pauses, throwing one last barb. Remember what I said about fires, old man. They can start so easily in places like this. Doesn't that send a shiver down your spine? Harold watches them go, his heart pounding but his resolve ironclad. Only when their patrol car vanishes does he exhale, the weight of the moment settling on his shoulders. This isn't over. Men like Blake don't slink away quietly, especially when a black veteran like Harold dares to stand tall. That evening, he locks up late, double-checking every bolt, every window. The sunset paints the sky in fiery oranges and purples, but the neighborhood's too quiet, like it's holding its breath. Can't you sense the storm brewing? As he heads to his truck, shadows flicker across the street, 3 figures near an abandoned warehouse, watching with a deliberate stance of trained men. Cops, out of uniform, their eyes glinting with malice. But Harold? He doesn't cower. He walks to his truck, starts it, and drives home, calm as a summer breeze. But his mind's a whirlwind, security cameras, veteran friends, plans to protect what's his. Isn't that courage something to marvel at? The next morning, Harold's at the shop before dawn, the sun just peeking over Milbrook's horizon. But from half a block away, his heart drops. Glass sparkles on the sidewalk like cruel diamonds in the early light. Every window's smashed, Bay doors defaced with vile spray-painted slurs that make your stomach churn. Inside it's worse. His tools, worth thousands, lie broken, decades of care shattered. Oil splattered over customers' cars, and on his workbench, a dead rat festers, a note pinned to it, "Next time it's you." Can you feel the rage, the violation of a man's life's work? Harold stands amid the wreckage, but fear? It's nowhere in his eyes. Instead, there's that cold clarity he knew in Vietnam, when bullets flew and his unit was pinned down. He's survived worse, far worse. As he dials his insurance company, a health inspector slinks in, clipboard in hand, smirking like Blake's twin. "Serious violations here," he says, scribbling citations with glee, noting the glass and oil. "Unsafe conditions, environmental hazards. I'm shutting you down until this is fixed." Isn't it infuriating, this pile-on of corruption? Harold sees the trap. The inspector's as crooked as the cops, part of the same rotten system. Fighting back now would just hand them an excuse to lock him up, so he bites his tongue and heads to the police station to file a vandalism report, knowing they'll do nothing. But there's Blake, waiting in the lobby like a spider. "Well, well," he drawls, all teeth and venom.
Look où est sir tout cause trouble.
"I'm here to file a report," Harold says, firm as granite. "My business was vandalized last night." "Is that right?"
Blake es grain is pure malice.
Funny how things like that happen when folks don't appreciate police protection. "But I hear you've got bigger problems, health violations, safety concerns. Might be best to sell the place. I know some people who'd give you a fair price." Harold's blood boils, but he keeps cool. "I'd like to speak to your supervisor." Blake's hand drifts to his cuffs.
Disturbing the peace again, Monsieur Carter.
Making unfounded accusations, resisting an officer's lawful commands. Before Harold can blink, Blake's got him slammed against the wall, cuffs biting into his wrists. "Harold Carter," Blake bellows, "you're under arrest for disturbing the peace, resisting arrest, and making threats against a police officer." The other cops just watch, not a flicker of surprise as Harold's fingerprinted, photographed, his proud face forced into a mugshot. In his cell, he sits quietly, thoughts drifting to the men he served with, who died for justice, and to his son, fighting in shadows most can't imagine. Given one phone call, Harold knows who to reach.
The phone ring 3 times, then a voice, steady, familiar, like a lifeline.
"Dad, what's wrong?" "Son," Harold says softly, "I need your help. Remember what you always said about bullies in uniform." A pause, then Damon's voice shifts, cold and sharp as a blade.
Tell me everything.
As Harold recounts the ordeal, he can almost see Damon's face harden, that deadly calm settling in. He doesn't know the full scope of Damon's Delta Force work, but he knows enough. Those cops just poked a sleeping lion. "I'll handle it," Damon says. "Just hang tight. And Dad? Don't worry about the shop. These men are about to learn what real fear feels like." The line goes dead, and Harold leans back, a flicker of pity for Blake and his cronies. Justice? It's coming, and it moves in shadows. 3,000 miles away, in a secret operations room, Colonel Damen Carter stands like a statue, eyes locked on screens flashing thermal images. The air's thick with tension, his team's hunting a terrorist cell leader, a high-stakes mission months in the making. Captain Sarah Williams, his right hand, glides over. Ghost, satellite confirms minimal civilian presence. Extraction windows 20 minutes. Damon nods, his focus razor-sharp. Can you feel the pulse of that moment, the weight of lives on his shoulders? "Team check," he orders, his voice low but commanding. Squad leaders chime in, Alpha in position.
Bravo ready. Charlie located and loaded. Delta standing by.
Precision, silence, lethality. That's the Ghost's legend, built on missions where he moved like a phantom. Lieutenant Mark Foster raises a hand. "Sir, incoming secure call, Priority Alpha." Damon's gut twists. Priority Alpha means family.
Patch it through.
Harold's voice fills his ear, and the world tilts. As his father lays out the corruption, the threats, the arrest, Damon's team sees the Ghost transform, rage cold and focused, like a storm brewing. "Understood," he says, his voice ablade.
Yelel Andlit.
He turns to Williams. "Sarah, you're in command. Finish the mission." I'm wheels up in 30. Sir, what's happened? She asks, concern flashing. Some cops in my hometown just made a fatal mistake. Damon's words are ice.
They touched my father.
Can't you feel the fury, the unbreakable bond driving him? The room goes silent. Everyone knows Damon's story, raised by a Vietnam hero who taught him honor duty and how to face down bullies. Take what you need, Williams says, knowing nothing will stop him. Damon grabs minimal gear. His mind and training are his deadliest tools. Foster, he orders, dig up everything on Milbrook's police, backgrounds, finances, communications.
He wants the dirt.
Foster's already typing. On it, sir.
DOJ liaison.
Not yet. I need to map the battlefield. Isn't that strategic mind just awe-inspiring? Sergeant Jason Taylor, a veteran of 8 years with Damon, steps up. Boss, need backup? Damon pauses. Taylor's solid as granite, but this is personal. No, keep the team for the mission. This one's mine. Hours blur into secure calls and rapid transit. Damon pulls strings. Favors owed, respect earned, fear instilled. A military transport's arranged. No questions asked. In flight, Foster's intel paints a grim picture. Milbrook's corruption runs deep. Organized crime, money laundering, drug cartels. Blake's just the tip of a filthy iceberg. A new message pings. Blake's got high-up protection. Politicians, judges, maybe state level. Damon's smile is thin. Good. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Can you feel the stakes rising? As the plane nears U.S. soil, Williams reports the mission's success. Target captured, no traces, just as Damon trained them. Thank you, Sarah, he says. Keep the team ready, this might escalate. On it, Ghost, she replies. Try not to start a war. I don't start wars, Damon's voice is steel. I end them. Back in Milbrook, Blake sips his coffee, smug as a cat with cream, thinking Harold's arrest sealed his power. A rookie, Ryan Parker, knocks. Sir, we've got a situation. Blake barely glances up.
What, rookie?
Harold Carter's son. I ran a check, and you need to see this. Isn't that moment electric? The first crack in Blake's armor? Can you imagine the sting of betrayal as Harold Carter, a proud Vietnam veteran, stands in a cold, sterile room, his weathered hands forced still for fingerprinting? The indignity of it all, his dignified face, etched with decades of honor, staring straight ahead for a mug shot, while other cops just watch, their faces blank, not a single one stepping in to stop this travesty. Isn't it heartbreaking? None of them seem shocked, as if railroading a hero is just another day at the office in Milbrook's corrupt police station. In his cell, Harold sits quietly, but oh, can't you feel the weight of his thoughts? He's remembering the brothers in arms who died believing in justice and freedom, their faces flashing before him like ghosts. And then his heart turns to his son Damon, out there in shadows most folks can't even fathom, carrying on that fight for what's right. Given one precious phone call, Harold doesn't hesitate. He knows exactly who to call. Isn't that faith in his son just soul-stirring? The phone rings 3 times, each one an eternity, the line crackling with encryption that only hints at the stakes. Then, a voice, strong, familiar, like a lifeline through the dark. Dad, what's wrong? Damon's words cut through the distance, and Harold's heart steadies. Son, he says softly, his voice steady despite the cell's chill, I need your help. Remember what you always said about bullies in uniform. Oh, can you feel the power in that question, the echo of lessons passed from father to son? There's a pause, and when Damon speaks again, it's like a blade unsheathing cold focus. A weapon honed by years of unseen battles. Tell me everything, he demands, and you just know the world's about to shift. As Harold pours out the story, the threats, the vandalism, the trumped-up arrest, you can almost see Damon's face hardening, his eyes narrowing with that deadly calm that makes grown men tremble. Harold doesn't know the full scope of what his son does for Delta Force, but he knows enough. Those corrupt cops in Milbrook just kicked a hornet's nest. I'll handle it, Damon says, his voice final, unyielding. Just hang tight. And Dad? Yes. Harold asks, hope flickering. Don't worry about the shop. These men are about to learn what real fear feels like. The line cuts off, and Harold leans back against the cell's hard wall, a faint smile tugging at his lips. Can you feel it? He almost pities Officer Blake and his crooked cronies, almost. Because justice? Sometimes it wears a badge, but sometimes it stalks in shadows, and Damen Carter? He's a master of those shadows. 3,000 miles away, in a secret dimly lit operations room pulsing with tension, Colonel Damen Carter stands like a statue carved from steel.
Can't you just picture it?
The air's thick, heavy with the stakes of a mission months in the making, screens glowing with thermal images of a terrorist cell leader who's orchestrated chaos across 3 continents. The silence is broken only by the hum of high-tech gear and hushed updates, every second ticking like a heartbeat. Captain Sarah Williams, Damon's second-in-command, glides over with a quiet precision that makes her his most trusted ally. "Ghost," she says, her voice steady. "Satellite confirms minimal civilian presence. Extraction window opens in 20 minutes. Damon nods, a barely perceptible movement, his focus razor-sharp. Isn't it awe-inspiring, that calm under pressure?
Team check.
Damon's voice, low but commanding, slices through the room like a whip. One by one, his squad leaders respond through his earpiece, their voices calm, measured, ready. Alpha in position.
Bravo ready. Charlie Team Locked and Loaded. Delta standing by.
Everything's on track, just as the Ghost demands. Precise, silent, lethal when it has to be. His nickname, the Ghost, isn't just a title, it's a legend. Some whisper he can slip through laser grids without a flicker. Others swear he once took down an enemy stronghold without a single shot.
The truth?
It's somewhere in that mythic haze. But oh, doesn't it make your pulse race?
Sudanly, Lieutenant Mark Foster, the team S comme Genius, Resound.
Sir, incoming secure call, Priority Alpha. Damon's face stays stone cold, but his gut twists. Priority Alpha means family. Can you feel that jolt? Patch it through, he orders, and when Harold's voice fills his earpiece, the world tilts. As his father lays bare the corruption, the threats, the arrest, Damon's team watches their commander transform.
The Ghost isn't just a call sign anymore. It's a force of nature.
You can see it, can't you? His eyes darken, his jaw sets, rage coiling like a spring, cold and focused, ready to unleash hell on those who dared touch his father. Understood, Damon says, his voice an icy blade that makes even his battle-hardened team exchange glances.
Il est l'endlit.
He turns to Williams, every word deliberate.
Sarah, tactical commandé sûr.
Finish the mission. I'm wheels up in 30. Her eyes flash with concern. Sir, what's happened? Some cops in my hometown just made a terminal mistake. Damon's words are absolute, like a judge's gavel. They laid hands on my father. Can't you feel the room go still, the air crackling with the weight of that vow?
Silence false, heavy and revers.
Everyone knows Damon's story, raised by a Vietnam vet who drilled honor, duty, and defiance into his bones. They've seen what happens when someone crosses the Ghost's line, and oh, it's not pretty. Take whatever you need, Williams says, her voice firm, knowing nothing will stop him. We'll clean up here. Damon moves like a machine, grabbing only the essentials. His mind, his training, those are his deadliest weapons. At the command station, he pauses.
Foster, get me everything au Milbrook's police. Background, finance, comme the works. He want to know where's dirty and how deep. Foster's fingerfly.
On it, sir.
DOJ liaison.
Not yet.
Damen snaps. First, he needs the battlefield mapped.
Isn't that strategic genius just electrifying? Sergeant Jason Taylor, a grizzled vet who's fought beside Damon for 8 years, steps up. Boss, need backup? Damon hesitates. Taylor's a rock, unshakable, but this fight's personal. No, keep the team for the mission. This one's mine. Hours blur into a frenzy of secure calls and rapid transit. Damon pulls every string. Favors owed, respect earned, fear instilled. A military transport's ready, no questions asked, whisking him toward Milbrook. In flight, Foster's intel paints a grim picture. The police department's rotten to the core, organized crime, money laundering, drug cartels. Blake's just the sneering face of a sprawling beast. A new message pings. Blake's got protection. Politicians, judges, maybe state level.
Damen's smile is razortin.
Good. The bigger they are, the harder they crash. Can you feel the stakes soaring? As the plane slices toward U.S. soil, Williams reports the mission success. Target captured, no traces, just as Damen drilled into them. "Thank you, Sarah," he says, voice steady. "Keep the team ready, this could escalate." "On it, Ghost," she replies. "Try not to start a war." "I don't start wars," Damen's tone is pure steel, "I end them." Back in Milbrook, Blake sips his coffee, smug as a king, thinking Harold's arrest cemented his grip.
Rookie Ryan Parker Knock, nerveux.
"Sir, we've got a situation."
Blake Baroli glance up. What, Rookie?
"Harold Carter's son, I ran a check, and you need to see this." "Isn't that the moment the tide turns?" Ryan holds out a file, his voice tight. "He's not just military, sir. He's Delta Force, command rank. His record's mostly classified, but what I found, he swallows hard, they call him the Ghost." Blake laughs, but it's brittle, like glass about to shatter. "The Ghost? What kind of comic book crap is that?" "Sir, my buddy in Army Intel said Colonel Carter's the guy Special Forces whisper about, the kind governments call for jobs that leave no trace." Blake's smirk fades, his coffee cup freezing mid-air. "You're watching too many movies, kid. He's just a soldier."
Ryan Shakised insiste.
"No sir, he's not. And there's more, FBI's demanding our body cam footage from yesterday. DOJ's poking around our arrests, and Internal Affairs called twice this morning." The cup trembles in Blake's hand. "What?" "It's like someone flipped a switch." Ryan says, eyes wide. "Every agency that could bury us is suddenly all over Milbrook."
Blake slams the cup down, a cold dread slithering up his spine.
He grabs his phone, dialing a number he rarely touches. After 3 rings, a gruff voice snaps, "This better be important, Blake." "We've got a problem," Blake stammers. "That old man we arrested, his son," the voice cuts him off, sharp as a knife. "If it's who I think, you need to vanish."
Tonight.
"What?" "He's just, listen you fool," the voice hisses. "I've seen this guy's work."
You don't know what you've shed.
"Leave town, change your name, and pray he doesn't find you." The line dies, and Blake stares at his phone, real fear clawing at him for the first time in his crooked career. Can you feel his world crumbling? Across town, Harold sits in his cell, calm as a still lake waiting. He knows his son, knows the storm that's brewing. Not bloodshed, not yet, but pressure relentless, surgical, dismantling the corrupt system brick by brick. Damen learned early that a gun's not always the sharpest tool. The cell door creaks open, a jittery desk sergeant appearing. "Mr. Carter, you're released." Charges dropped.
Harold rises, dignity inchacune. Annie rison.
The sergeant avoids his gaze. Orders from above. "Your stuff's at the desk, and someone's waiting for you."
Can't you feel the tide turning? In the lobby, Harold spot a figure. Tall, athlétique, civilian Claude Baroli-Hidin à Soldiers Edge.
Damen turns, and their eyes lock, father and son bound by unbreakable steel. For a heartbeat, they're silent, then Damen steps forward, wrapping Harold in a brief, fierce embrace.
You okay, old man?
Harold nods, a spark of pride in his eyes. "Nothing I couldn't handle." "I know," Damen says, his voice brimming with resolve, "but now it's my turn." Can you feel the power of that moment, the passing of the torch? They stride out, every cop's eyes burning into them. Damen pauses, scanning the room like a hawk, his gaze locking on Blake's. He smiles, cold, promising, a predator's warning that makes Blake recoil.
Outside, the morning sun is warm, a stark contrast to the chill Blake's feeling.
Harold looks at Damen, seeing the boy he raised to fight injustice, now a warrior forged in shadows. "You don't have to do this, son. I can fight my battles." Damen's face softens. "You taught me never to let bullies win, Dad. Time to teach them that lesson." Isn't that bond unbreakable? As they drive to the shop, Damen's mind's already a battlefield, plotting moves to expose politicians, crush criminals, and torch Milbrook's corrupt system. First, a message must be sent. Back at the station, Blake's phone buzzes. An unknown number texts, "You're not the hunter."
You're the prey.
He glances out, spotting a military drone high above, a speck against the sky. In that instant, Blake knows he's sparked a war he can't win.
Can you feel the fear gripping his hat? The reckoning looming?
Can you feel the electric jolt of panic ripping through the Milbrook Police Department that fateful morning after Colonel Damen Carter stormed into town? Officer James Blake, his face pale as a ghost, bursts into Chief William Anderson's office without so much as a knock, his voice trembling with dread. "We need to clean house. Now," he gasps, sweat beading on his brow. Anderson, his weathered face twisting with irritation, looks up from his computer.
Calm down, Blake.
"What's got you so rattled?"
The ghost is here. Blake's voice crack, barely holding it together. Harold Carter's son.
He's not just some grunt, he's a goddamn Delta Force colonel with connections that reach the sky. The FBI's sniffing around, DOJ's hammering us with questions, and internal affairs is crawling up our asses. Can't you just feel the walls closing in on them? Anderson's eyes darken, a storm brewing behind that grizzled facade. For 15 years, he's been the puppet master of this corrupt empire, weaving a web of deceit far beyond petty brutality.
The protection racket?
That's just the tip of a sinister iceberg, chilling in its depth. "Get everyone on cleanup detail," he barks, his voice like thunder. "I want every incriminating file shredded, every digital record wiped, and that body cam footage from Carter's arrest gone, yesterday." Across the station, it's chaos. Officers scramble like rats in a sinking ship. Hard drives scream as they're erased, paper files vanish into industrial shredders, and evidence logs are doctored with frantic precision.
The air pulse with the sound of destruction, a corrupt yard BA echoing through the hall.
Isn't it wild how desperation turns order into madness? At his desk, young Officer Ryan Parker watches, his heart heavy as a stone. Can you imagine his turmoil? This rookie joined the force with stars in his eyes, dreaming of serving and protecting Milbrook's people. Instead, he's drowning in a cesspool of corruption, surrounded by wolves in badges. As his colleagues shred the truth, Ryan's conscience screams, "Enough is enough." Quietly, with hands that tremble ever so slightly, he starts copying files to an encrypted drive. Bodycam footage of Harold's unjust arrest, financial records dripping with dirty money, emails plotting protection fees. He grabs it all, risking everything. Discovery? It'd cost more than his job. It could cost his life. Isn't his courage just breathtaking? Meanwhile, across town, Mayor Thomas Gregory sits in his plush office, the air cool but his forehead slick with sweat. Can you feel his nerves fraying? He's just hung up from a call that's left him rattled, his voice shaky as he tried to reassure his shadowy ally. "Yes, I get how serious this is. No, we can contain it."
ILL dans le Carter myself.
But oh, the doubt gnawing at him. Gregory's built his political throne on a foundation of corruption, siphoning hundreds of thousands monthly through fake community programs into offshore accounts and greedy pockets. The police department? Just one cog in his criminal machine. He grabs his phone, fingers fumbling, and dials a number he rarely dares to use. "Marcus, we need to meet now." Doesn't that desperation make your pulse race? An hour later, Gregory's in a private room at the Sterling Club, facing Marcus Davidson, the syndicate's regional kingpin who truly runs Milbrook. Davidson's tailored suit can't hide the predator lurking beneath, his eyes glinting like a shark's. "This better be worth my time, Thomas," he says, swirling expensive scotch with a dangerous calm. "I don't do emergency meetings." Gregory's voice wavers as he spills the crisis. "It's the Carter case, his son." Davidson cuts him off, sharp as a blade. "I know about the son. Colonel Damen Carter, the ghost." He sets his glass down with chilling care. "Do you have any clue what you've stumbled into?" Gregory's pathetic protest, "He's just one man," is met with a cold, hollow laugh.
Just one man?
Let me tell you about just one man. 3 years ago, a South American cartel boss thought he was untouchable, mercenaries, political shields, the works. This one man went in alone. When he walked out, the whole operation was ash, everyone dead or cuffed, no traces, no witnesses, no loose ends.
Can't you feel Gregory's blood run cold?
The mayor's face drains of color, his voice a whisper. "What do we do?" "You pray." Davidson snaps, rising. "I'm pulling our direct operations from Milbrook for now." Seeing Gregory's panic, he adds, "Let it cool off." "And Thomas? Don't call me until this is fixed." Back at the station, Blake's overseeing the evidence purge like a frantic general, when Ryan approaches, heart pounding. "Sir, the FBI's demanding specific files. If we don't, tell them the system crashed." Blake snarls. "Technical glitch, lost a week's data." Ryan nods, careful not to betray his secret. "And the physical evidence?" "The photos from Carter's shop." "Being handled." Blake dismisses him, oblivious that Ryan's already saved it all. Can you believe the rookie's nerve, holding the keys to their downfall? Ryan's no stranger to Milbrook's pain. Born and raised here, he's seen his community crushed under corrupt boots. Now, he's got a shot to make it right. As dusk falls, he slips to Carter's auto repair, heart hammering as he parks a block away, eyes scanning for tails. The shop's dark, but a sliver of light glows under the bay doors. Inside, Harold and Damen are mending the vandalism scars, their bond palpable. Both turn as Ryan enters, Damon's hand twitching toward his hip before easing. "Officer Parker," Harold says softly, surprise in his eyes. "Didn't expect you here." Ryan swallows hard, pulling out the encrypted drive. "I've got something you need to see. Everything they're hiding, body cams, financials, emails. It's deeper than harassment. Can't you feel the weight of that moment?" Damen steps forward, his gaze piercing, studying Ryan like a hawk. "Why?" he asks, voice low but intense. Ryan stands tall, his answer raw and true. "Because this isn't what I signed up for. This town deserves better." A faint smile, the first real one since Damen hit Milbrook, crosses his face. "You're right, it does." He takes the drive, then hands Ryan a secure phone. "You're our inside man now. Can you handle it?" Ryan straightens, resolve steeling his spine. "Yes, sir." As he leaves, Harold turns to Damen, worry in his eyes. "Can we trust him?" "We'll see," Damen replies, "but my gut says yes. We need eyes in that snake pit." Isn't that trust, fragile but fierce, just inspiring? Morning dawns and Blake arrives at the station, his smugness shattered by a single playing card on his desk, an ace of spades, with chilling words in precise script, "I know everything." His hand shakes as he grabs his phone to call Anderson, but it's already ringing. "Get to my office now." Anderson's voice is taut with stress. "And Blake, make sure you're not tailed." In the chief's office, Blake finds Anderson and Mayor Gregory, the latter a wreck, sleepless, disheveled, his polished mask crumbling. "It's worse than we thought." Gregory stammers. "The syndicate's bailing. They say Carter's too dangerous." Blake scoffs, bravado faltering. "He's not superhuman. We've got 50 armed cops." "Shut up."
Anderson Roar.
"This isn't about guns. Carter's got federal ties, high-level ones. One call, and every agency from FBI to ATF will tear us apart. Can you feel their empire cracking? We'll make sure there's nothing to find." Blake insists, clinging to control. "We're cleaning house." Too late. A voice cuts through, sharp as a knife. They whirl to see Damen Carter in the doorway, appearing like a phantom. Didn't they hear the door? Blake's hand twitches toward his gun, but Damon's icy smile freezes him. "I wouldn't. Really wouldn't." Anderson stammers, "This is a private," but Damen slices him off. "Know what's fascinating?" He holds up a phone, a video playing, Blake and his goons trashing Harold's shop. "You missed so many cameras. While you were shredding evidence, I was collecting it, every bribe, every threat, every dirty deal, all documented. Can't you see their faces drain of hope?" Gregory lurches up, grasping at authority.
Now listen. No, you listen.
Damon's voice, soft but razor-edged, silences them. "Right now, every major federal agency's getting files on your operation. The protection racket, money laundering, drug trafficking, everything. But you've got a choice." His eyes bore into each man. "Cooperate, turn state's evidence, help clean this town, or," his smile's a shark's, "I'll dismantle your lives, piece by piece. Trust me, you won't like that ride." Before they can blink, he's gone, leaving dread and 3 aces of spades. Gregory breaks the silence, voice quaking. He's bluffing. He can't have it all. But their phones buzz, screens lighting up with damning proof, photos, videos, records.
Jesus.
Blake whispers, his world collapsing. Anderson reaches for his emergency phone, but finds another card and a note. They can't help you anymore. Isn't that checkmate? Outside, Damen strides to his vehicle, voice calm into his comms. Foster, release the first wave of evidence to the feds. Let's see how they squirm. Done, sir. Foster replies. FBI's moving on informants, DOJ's prepping indictments, it's unraveling. Good. Watch their comms, I want to know who cracks first. At the station, Ryan sees the panic. Cops clearing desks, calling lawyers, their house of cards tumbling. A detective sidles up, nervous. Rookie, you were on Carter's arrest, right? Got any unofficial copies? Ryan's face is a mask. No sir, all by the book. Alone he sends a coded message, they're desperate, turning on each other.
Can't you feel the collapse?
Across town, Harold's at his shop, hammer in hand, fixing the vandalism scars. But he's not alone. Customers, some loyal for decades, show up with tools, paint, heart.
Word is spread, and Milbrook is fighting back.
Can you see it, this quiet rebellion? Damen watches from the street, pride swelling. His father stands ignited courage.
Time to show Milbrook justice's face.
He dials Williams. Sarah, I need that contingency package. Things are heating up. En route, Ghost, she says.
Don't start a war.
Damen's smile is grim, eyes on news sites flashing corruption leaks. Too late. It started, they just don't know they've lost. Isn't that the spark of revolution? Can you imagine the chaos tearing through Milbrook's police station as the sun dips below the horizon, casting an ominous glow over a town on the edge of reckoning? That evening, the air's thick with panic, a frenzied whirl of desperation as corrupt officers scramble to erase their sins. Files vanish into shredders, but oh, isn't it chilling? For every scrap they destroy, two more surface, like ghosts of their crimes refusing to be silenced. The crooked cops, their faces taut with fear, know they're running out of moves. In his dimly lit office, Chief William Anderson slumps, staring at his computer screen, watching 15 years of meticulously built corruption crumble like a house of cards. Can you feel his world collapsing? He's got one last desperate play, a shadowy private security firm known for fixing problems with ruthless precision. But as he reaches for his phone, it buzzes, a message flashing, "Think carefully, Chief."
You're not the hunter anymore.
His eyes dart to the window, heart pounding. There, against the darkening sky, a military drone hovers, silent and unyielding. The game's over, but oh, can't you see? They're too stubborn to admit defeat. Morning breaks, soft light spilling long shadows across Carter's auto repair, where Colonel Damen Carter stands, surveying his father's shop with a warrior's gaze. The vandalism scars are fading, thanks to loyal customers, neighbors, friends, who rallied around Harold like a family. Fresh paint covers the hateful graffiti, new glass gleams in place of shattered panes, and the garage hums with a comforting clatter of tools and engines. Can't you hear it, that pulse of resilience? Harold's under a lifted truck, his voice steady despite the ordeal. Hand me that torque wrench, son. Damen grabs the tool, passing it to his father's calloused hand, and oh, doesn't it tug at your heart? The simple act floods him with memories, childhood days learning engines, duty, and the unshakable value of honest work at his father's side. But as Damen watches Harold, he notices the slight stiffness in his movements, the faint echo of rough treatment at the police station. Can you feel the anger simmering in Damen's chest? You know they're watching the shop, Harold says, sliding out from under the truck, his eyes flicking to an unmarked police car lurking down the street, its disguise laughably poor. Damen's lips curve into a sly smile, cool as steel. Let them watch. They're not the only ones playing the spy game. Isn't that confidence electrifying? Across Milbrook, Damen's woven a web of surveillance tighter than a spider's silk. Lieutenant Foster's hacked into traffic cameras, military-grade sensors eavesdrop on police radios, and every move Officer Blake and his corrupt cronies make is recorded, dissected, piled onto a mountain of damning evidence. Can you picture that net closing in? The shop's bell chimes, sharp and clear, cutting through the hum of work. Harold and Damen turn to see Rachel Turner, a young journalist with fire in her eyes, striding into the garage. Can't you admire her grit? She carries herself with the hard-earned swagger of someone who's battled for truth and won. Mr. Carter, she nods to Harold, then fixes her gaze on Damon. Colonel, can we talk? Damon sizes her up, his mind sharp. Foster's background check cleared her, one of Milbrook's few reporters daring to challenge the department's rot, though her efforts were always crushed before. What do you want to know, Miss Turner? He asks, voice neutral but probing. She pulls out a recorder, her eyes alight. I've been digging into the police for months. Extortion, evidence tampering, ties to organized crime. But every time I got close, my sources vanished, or evidence melted away. Can't you feel her frustration, that relentless drive? Sounds like a tough fight, Damon says, his tone even, but oh, don't you see the spark in his eyes? It was. Rachel's voice crackles with excitement. Until yesterday when someone mysteriously sent me files documenting years of corruption. Bank records, surveillance footage, internal emails, everything I needed but could never prove. Harold shoots Damon a glance, catching the faintest hint of a smile, but Damon's face stays a mask. Quite a find, he says smoothly. Rachel leans in, her reporter's instinct blazing. Here's what really grabs me. You roll into town and boom, federal agencies swarm, corrupt cops lose their minds, the syndicate bolts, and all this evidence just appears.
Coïncidence, colonel.
Isn't that sharp question thrilling, cutting to the truth? Before Damon can answer, the shop's phone shrills, slicing the tension. Harold picks it up, his face hardening. It's for you, he tells Damon, voice grave. Someone named Foster. Damon grabs the receiver, his jaw tightening as he listens. When? He asks, voice low, lethal. Keep monitoring. I'll handle it. He hangs up, turning to Rachel, his eyes glinting with danger. Want an exclusive, Miss Turner? Something bigger than dirty cops. Her breath catches. I'm all ears. The police chief just met with a private security firm, the kind that doesn't ask questions and leaves no witnesses. Damon's calm voice belies the storm brewing. They're about to make their first and last mistake. Can't you feel the plot thickening? At the station, Chief Anderson sits across from two men who scream danger, not soldiers, but something darker. Their suits, sleek and expensive, hide shoulder holsters, their eyes scanning like predators in a jungle. We hear you've got a problem, the older one says, his Serbian accent thick, chilling. We can solve it, for a price. Anderson slides a fat envelope across his desk, his hand steady despite the dread coiling in his gut. Half now, half when it's done. I don't want details, just Carter gone. The younger man thumbs through the cash, smirking. An accident, clean and professional. We need his routines, security, weaknesses. Anderson's voice is flat. He's at his father's shop most days. Minimal security, just cameras. Seems to work alone. The Serbian smile is thin, cruel. Overconfident. This'll be easy.
Oh, don't you want to show a warning?
They don't know every word's being recorded, tiny bugs in the station capturing their plot, satellites tracking their vans. Isn't Damon's trap brilliant? That afternoon, Damon strides into the station alone, a lone wolf among sheep. Officers freeze, the air crackling as he moves, his presence a predator's threat. He heads straight for Blake's desk, where the corrupt cop fakes busyness, sweat glistening on his brow. Officer Blake.
Damen's voice boom, silencing the room.
I've faced better men than you, and they're all gone. Blake's composure cracks, his voice shaky. That a threat, Colonel?
No. Damen's smile is ice cold.
Just history talking. He drops a file on Blake's desk. Read this, it's enlightening. Inside, photos sear Blake's soul, him with syndicate goons, taking bribes, trashing Harold's shop. But the last one? His daughter's dorm room, snapped that morning. So we're clear, Damon whispers. I can reach anyone, anywhere.
Think hard before your next move.
Can't you see Blake's world implode? As Damon exits, Blake's phone buzzes. Anderson, frantic.
Meeting, now.
Bring all we've got on Carter. In the chief's office, Blake finds Anderson and Mayor Gregory, the latter a wreck, his polished veneer shattered. The contractors are set. Anderson says, voice tight. They move tonight.
Blake shift, unis knowing.
Sir, maybe we rethink this. If it goes wrong, nothing can go wrong.
Gregory snaps, eyes wide.
Carter's got to go, or we're done. Feds are circling, accounts frozen, we need this now. They miss the red light blinking under Anderson's desk, Damon's bug, catching every damning word. Isn't that poetic justice? Evening nears, and Harold's shop winds down. Rachel, after hours grilling the Carters, leaves with a story that'll rock Milbrook. Spotting unmarked vans circling the neighborhood, she texts Damon's secure line, "They're here." Inside, Damon checks his phone, a hunter's smile spreading. He's clocked the mercenaries, ex-Serbian special forces, hired guns, good, but no match for the Ghost. "Dad," he says, cool as ever, "head home early. I'll wrap up." Harold's eyes narrow, knowing. "Sure about that?" "Dead sure. Stay inside tonight, no matter what you hear." "Can't you feel the storm brewing?" Harold goes, and Damon moves like a specter, dousing lights but leaving one office bulb glowing, a baited trap. He waits, senses honed, every creak a signal. Midnight strikes, and the mercenaries hit, silent, skilled, disabling cameras, breaching the side door with suppressed weapons. The shop seems empty, the office light taunting. The team leader signals his men to fan out, checking shadows. Then it unravels. Infrared sensors fail, the shop a maze of heat signatures.
Radio crack Louis statique, and in the dark, something move.
The first mercenary vanishes silently, the second gasps before falling. The leader spins, gun up, but he's blind, instinct screaming danger. "Where are you?" he whispers, voice shaking. "Everywhere." Damon's voice echoes, omnipresent, terrifying. Panic grips the pros. They fire at shadows, each flash betraying them. One by one, they drop, no kills, just precise strikes leaving them out cold. Can't you feel the thrill? The leader's alone, back to a wall, heart thundering. A shadow forms, Damon, unstoppable. His weapons gone, an iron grip pinning him.
Tell your boss, Damen murmure, next team won't walk away.
Across town, Anderson paces, phone ringing. "Done?" he asks, voice tight. "No." The Serbian chokes, fear raw. "We're out. No money's worth this." The line dies, Anderson staring, stunned as his screen flashes, "Strike one." Can you see his empire shatter? By dawn, Milbrook buzzes with wild rumors. An elite hit squad felled by one man. Cops beg for transfers, terrified of what's next. Gregory's AWOL, Anderson's office locked. Rachel's story hits the news, going viral, irrefutable evidence, a Delta Force hero defending his father, justice dawning in a small L town. Isn't that hope igniting? Can you feel the electric tension crackling through the Milbrook police station as dusk paints the sky in fiery hues? That evening, chaos reigns supreme, a wild storm of desperation swirling through the halls. Corrupt officers scramble like cornered rats, shredding files, wiping drives, their faces twisted with panic as they try to bury their sins. But oh, isn't it thrilling? For every piece of evidence they torch, two more rise from the ashes, like relentless specters of their crimes. They're out of moves, and they know it, their empire teetering on the brink. Officer Ryan Parker sits at his desk, heart pounding, feeding updates through a secure phone, his eyes darting across the madness. Can you see him, a lone beacon of hope amid the corruption? The station's a whirlwind. Some cops cut deals with federal investigators, others claw to cover their tracks, but it's all crumbling. Officer James Blake slumps at his desk, staring at a photo of his daughter, her innocent smile a dagger in his heart. Isn't it gut-wrenching? He knows a choice looms, one that'll define his legacy. His phone buzzes, and he knows who's calling before he answers. Officer Blake, Damen Carter's voice is calm, smooth as ice. It's time for a real talk about Milbrook's police future. Ready to make the right call. Blake's eyes sweep the station, the corrupt system he helped forge, the fear in his colleagues' eyes, the wreckage of his career crashing around him. Can you feel his world unraveling? Finally, his voice breaks the silence, low and resigned. What do you need to know? Across town, at Carter's Auto Repair, Damon sweeps up the faint traces of last night's clash, while Harold, steady as ever, works on a customer's car, his wrench clinking rhythmically. Neither speaks of the mercenaries' failed ambush, but Harold's small, knowing smile says it all: pride, trust, a father's quiet victory. The war's far from over, but oh, haven't they won a glorious battle? The corrupt power structure's fracturing, its enforcers quaking, its leaders scattering like roaches in the light. But Damon's no fool. He knows the toughest fight's still ahead. Somewhere in Milbrook, desperate men plot desperate schemes, and cornered beasts.
They strike with no mercy, no restraint.
Gazing at the morning sun rising over his hometown, Damon feels the storm brewing, and oh, doesn't he welcome it? Storms are his domain, where he thrives. The morning after the mercenaries' humiliating defeat, the Milbrook Police Department's a powder keg, tension thick enough to choke on. Officers huddle in tight knots, whispering about the night's fiasco, an elite hit squad vanishing into the dark, only to re-emerge broken, silent, haunted. Can you imagine the chills running through them? Officer James Blake sits frozen at his desk, staring blankly at his screen, but it's his daughter's photo that burns his soul, not a threat, but a reminder of all he's risked for a corrupt dream. Isn't that heartbreak raw? Years of bribes, protection rackets, dirty deals. They felt right when he told himself it was for her future. Now, that future's on the line, and oh, doesn't it tear him apart? His secure phone buzzes, a message from Chief Anderson, emergency meeting, evidence room now. The evidence room's their war bunker since Damon's arrival, a grim fortress of secrets. Blake steps in, finding Anderson and senior officers, their faces carved with dread under harsh fluorescent lights.
The body qu'en faux otage is gone. Anderson déclaré, voice sharp with panic.
Not deleted. Someone uploaded it straight to FBI servers. They've got everything from Carter's arrest. Can you feel the silence, heavy as a tomb? That footage isn't just Harold's wrongful arrest, it's years of corruption laid bare, officers bragging about bribes, plotting threats. How? An officer stammers. The system was locked. How doesn't matter. Anderson snaps, fury masking fear. We need damage control. His phone rings. Mayor Gregory's ID flashing.
Where the hell are you?
Anderson growls, slamming it on speaker.
Grégory's voice tremble, à manin raveling.
Listen. The feds raided my house. They've got it all, accounts, offshore transfers, syndicate ties. They're coming for us. Before anyone can react, the door swings open. Ryan Parker, his young face grave. Chief, federal agents are in the lobby. They want you. Anderson's face drains of color. Stall them. Destroy everything now. Can't you see their empire implode? But as they lunge to obey, every screen flares to life, a chilling message blazing, too late. Across town, Damon's and Harold's shop office, eyes locked on laptop feeds, a general orchestrating war. Lieutenant Foster's voice crackles through his earpiece. Sir, the mayor's not lying. DOJ's launched a massive op, hitting multiple sites at once. Good. Damon replies, cool as steel. Watch the department's comms. I want to know who contacts the syndicate. Harold glances up from his paperwork, a twinkle in his eye. Enjoying this, aren't you, son?
Damenes Lipskirk.
Just serving justice, Dad. Sure.
Harold Schukle.
That's why your team pulled that computer stunt?
For justice.
Psychological warfare. Damon corrects, his grin widening. Fear's a hell of a weapon. Isn't that banter heartwarming amid the storm? Rachel Turner bursts in, phone in hand, eyes blazing with a reporter's hunger. You need to see this. A news alert screams, FBI raids Milbrook City Hall, Mayor Gregory missing. Damon's face stays calm, but his eyes sharpen. When? 20 minutes ago. Rachel's voice thrums with excitement. He slipped out before the feds hit. But that's not all. Those financial records you gave me? They don't just nail the mayor and cops, they lead to Thomas Lynch. Harold straightens, his jaw tight. Lynch, a cartel kingpin, untouchable despite years of federal hunts, has puppeteered Milbrook's police for profit. Lynch won't go quietly. Harold warns. No, Damon agrees he won't. He taps his earpiece. Foster, get me all we have on Lynch's local ops. And patch in Captain Williams. Can't you feel the stakes skyrocket? Within an hour, Damon's hunch hits hard. 3 black SUVs roar up to a warehouse on Milbrook's outskirts, a Lynch front. The cartel boss himself steps out, flanked by armed muscle, meeting Anderson and top cops.
Damen via so violence, audio crisp.
This has gone too far. Lynch's voice is ice-cold. Carter must be dealt with, permanently. Anderson fidgets, nervous.
The contractor failed. Amateur. Lynch snarl.
I'm talking real measures. My men are ready. But oh, doesn't he know? His men are already compromised. Williams' team neutralized Lynch's advance force hours ago. The warehouse crew's all that's left, and they're in for a shock.
Can you feel the trap snapping shut?
Damon's phone buzzes, Ryan's text, Federal Task Force, ETA 5 minutes.
Perfect timing.
The raid's a lightning strike. FBI tactical teams storm the warehouse, SWAT sealing the edges. Lynch and his men are caught flat-footed, surrounded. But Lynch, cool as ever, plays his ace. If I fall, he says calmly, every dirty secret I have on this department goes public, every bribe, payoff, cover-up. You'll rot in prison. The cops exchange glances, panic flickering. Then Blake steps forward, flashing a badge, not Milbrook's. Too late, he declares. Federal Task Force. I've been undercover a year, documenting it all. The room reels, Lynch's face twists with rage. Chaos erupts, Lynch's guards open fire, the warehouse a war zone. Feds return fire, Anderson's crew scrambles to flee. Can't you hear the gunfire, the chaos? It's over fast, Lynch, Anderson, most senior cops cuffed. A few slip away, but their faces are already on every agency's radar. At Carter's shop, Damon watches the fallout on feeds, Rachel Turner on scene, her story set to blaze nationally by dawn, exposing Milbrook's rot. Harold brings coffee, his voice soft. Think it's over? Not yet, Damon says, eyes distant. Lynch was just the front. His phone buzzes, Foster's voice urgent. Sir, movement at the mayor's estate. Armed men, not cops or feds. Damon's up, weapons checked. Gregory's making his move. Lynch might talk, so he's calling in a cleanup crew. He turns to Harold, who grabs a shotgun. Let them come. No. Damon's firm. You're going to a safe house. He calls Ryan. Time to earn that promotion. Get my dad out. As Ryan's car pulls up, Harold grips Damon's arm. Be careful, son. Damon's smile is grim. Always.
Can't you feel the storm speak?
Can you feel the pulse-pounding chaos gripping Milbrook as federal agents storm Mayor Gregory's estate, their boots thundering through the opulent halls? The air crackles with tension as they find his elite security team, hardened mercenaries, zip-tied, unconscious, their weapons rendered useless, like toys scattered by a giant. But the ghost himself, Colonel Damen Carter? He's vanished, a shadow melting into the night, leaving no trace. Isn't that mystique electrifying? Dawn breaks, and Milbrook wakes to headlines that sear the soul, Mayor in custody. Cartel exposed.
Corruption cruched.
The town's forever changed, its dark heart laid bare. At Carter's auto repair, Harold Carter strides in, finding his shop pristine, untouched by the storm. His son Damon sits calmly, sipping coffee as if he didn't just topple an empire.
The mayor.
Harold asks, eyebrow raised. Singing like a canary to the feds. Damon replies, a glint in his eye. Him, Lynch, most of the department, they're spilling everything.
Can't you feel the triumph in that moment?
Harold nods, a proud smile tugging at his lips. You missed a spot, by the way. What? Damon blinks, caught off guard. When you cleaned up after taking down the mayor's goons, there's dirt on your boots. Harold's grin is pure mischief. Damon glances at his spotless boots, then back at his father's twinkling eyes.
Real funny, Dad.
But oh, don't you sense the fleeting warmth? That smile fades fast, because both men know the truth. Despite their victories, the real threat looms. The Syndicate, a shadowy beast pulling strings from the dark, won't swallow this defeat quietly. The storm's not over, it's just gathering strength. Can you feel the chill of what's coming? In a stark federal holding cell, Mayor Thomas Gregory sits, his once crisp suit wrinkled, his polished facade shattered like cheap glass. Can you imagine his paranoia, watching a tiny TV in the corner as his former allies parade across the screen, cutting deals with prosecutors to save their skins? His empire, built on greed and deceit, is crumbling, and fear gnaws at his bones. A guard appears. "Your lawyer's here." But when the door creaks open, it's no attorney, it's Damen Carter, a visitor's badge pinned to his chest, his faint smile chilling Gregory to the core.
You can't be here. The mayor stammer, voice quaking.
Oh, I can. Damen replies, cool as steel. Federal consultant status opens doors. We need to talk about the syndicate. Gregory's face drains of color, his hands trembling.
I don't know what you, Alexander White.
Damen cuts in, quiet but razor-sharp. Your real boss, isn't he? The puppet master even Lynch feared. The mayor's reaction, shaking hands, sweat beading, screams guilt. You don't get it, he gasps.
If you talk about White, I'm dead.
His reach is everywhere.
Can't you feel his terror?
Was everywhere.
Damen correct, unyielding.
Past tense.
Your network is gone, Gregory.
The only question is, do you sync with it? Before Gregory can answer, alarms blare, red lights flashing like blood through the corridors. Guards rush past, boots pounding. Damen's phone buzzes, Lieutenant Foster's voice, urgent.
Sir, trouble.
A pro team with military-grade gear just tried to breach the mayor's cell block. White's cleanup crew. Damen notes, unfazet. Right on time. Gregory clutches the bars, panic wild in his eyes.
Protect me.
They'll kill me. That's their plan. Damen agrees, calm as a storm's eye. Unless you spill everything now. The mayor breaks, words tumbling out for 20 minutes. White's empire laid bare. Front businesses, bought politicians, global ties that made him untouchable. Can you see the web unraveling? Outside, White's hit squad learns why targeting a Delta Force legend is suicide. Captain Williams and her unit, lying in wait, strike with silent precision, neutralizing 6 hostiles without a whisper of resistance. Clear. Williams reports through Damen's earpiece. No casualties. Good. Damen says, turning to Gregory.
White estimes down again. Ready to keep talking.
Across town, Officer Ryan Banks sits in a secure FBI command post, heart racing as he helps agents map the syndicate's sprawling network. Gregory's confession, paired with Ryan's local intel, paints a jaw-dropping picture. This is unreal. Special Agent Laura Hayes exclaims, eyes on the evidence board. White's tentacles grip 5 states. Cops, judges, senators, all dirty. Milbrook was just their sandbox.
Ryan no, Grimm.
A testing ground for their empire. His phone buzzes, Damen's message, White's moving. Stay sharp. Can't you feel the stakes soaring? 50 miles away, in a sleek penthouse, Alexander White, silver-haired, cold as permafrost, learns of the prison hit's failure with eerie calm. Isn't his composure unsettling? He's built his empire on calculation, not panic. Send the video, he orders his security chief. Minutes later, Milbrook's digital billboards blaze with chilling footage. Harold Carter alone in his shop, a clear threat. White can strike anywhere. But oh, hasn't Damen planned for this? The moment the screens light up, Foster flips the switch, every billboard goes dark, replaced by White's crimes. Photos, documents, bank records. The syndicate secrets flood the city for all to see. Impressive.
White murmure, watching the chaos.
The ghost lives up to his legend. He turns to his chief. Protocol 0, burn it all.
Can you feel the Empire's collapse?
Across the region, White's machine self-destructs. Files shredded, drives wiped, witnesses silenced. But they're too late, every secret's already in federal hands, copied immortal. At Carter's shop, Harold watches the digital war unfold on nearby screens, awe in his eyes. You knew he'd pull this. Men like White are predictable. Damen replies, checking his weapons with a hunter's focus. They think tech's their god. They forget, every system's got cracks. His phone buzzes, Williams' voice, urgent. Sir, movement. Multiple vehicles heading to Milbrook, heavily armed pros. Damen's eyes narrow. White's not just burning, he's launching a full assault. Wants to make us an example. Harold grabs his shotgun, fire in his gaze. Let's face him.
No.
Damon's voice is firm, tender. You're getting out.
Ryan es got a tactical team waiting.
Can't you feel the clash of wills? I'm not running. Harold protests, voice fierce. This is my fight too. Dad.
Damen es tons of ten, row is love.
You taught me to stand up to bullies. Let me finish what you started. Before Harold can argue, Rachel Turner bursts in, phone aloft. Look at this. A live news feed shows Milbrook erupting. White's men clash with feds in gun battles. Their endgame. Damon says, eyes blazing. Chaos to cover their escape. He taps his earpiece. Foster, track every vehicle in or out. Williams, sync with FBI tactical, no one slips through. Can you hear the battle drums? The next hour's pandemonium, White's operators, trapped, take hostages, scanners buzzing with reports of barricades, demands for safe passage. But Damon's ready, his teams honed for urban war, hostage rescue. One by one, White's men fall, outmaneuvered, outgunned. In his penthouse, White watches his empire dissolve, fear creeping into his steely eyes for the first time in decades. He turns to his guards. Ready the chopper. Sir, his chief falters, the pilots aren't responding. On the helipad, 2 pilots lie zip-tied by their sabotaged bird, Damon's handiwork. White's phone rings, an unknown number, but he knows. You've cost me dearly, Colonel, he growls, clinging to control. Money.
Damen's voice is ice.
This is about justice, for every soul you've crushed, every life you've stolen. Can't you feel the moral clash? White's laugh is bitter. You're a soldier. Power's all that matters.
No.
Damen countess. Duty, honor, things you forgot.
Lucid.
White peers through his glass wall, red laser dots dance on his chest, sniper teams locked on. It's done. Damon says. Your men are gone, your empire exposed. Survive the next 30 seconds. White freezes, then reaches for a hidden desk panel. You're right, Colonel, he whispers. It's over. An explosion rocks the penthouse. White chooses death over capture, taking his guards with him. But oh, his fatal flaw, his office files, fireproof, survive. Feds swarm the blaze, Damon orchestrating the cleanup. Can you see the end game? Milbrook streets echo with surrender, White's last forces, seeing federal choppers and tactical teams, abandon their dead leader. Ryan's voice crackles over the radio. Sir, last group's cornered at the old warehouse. They want to talk. No deals.
Damen order.
Unconditional surrender, or nothing. The standoff's brief, 10 minutes, and they fold, survival trumping loyalty. At Carter's shop, Harold watches the news, pride and worry warring in his eyes. His son's done the impossible, shattered an untouchable empire. What now? He asks as Damon returns. White's gone, but others lurk. Always will, Damon nods, a faint smile. Today, we showed the Shadows monsters who to fear. Can't you feel the hope rising? Special Agent Maria Torres arrives with feds, awed yet wary.
Colonel, White's feel, it's a gold mine.
Corruption so deep, it'll take years to unravel. Get started. Damon says. This isn't just Milbrook, it's a warning to every crooked official, every crime lord who thinks they're above the law. Rachel's fingers fly on her laptop, her story a beacon. The public needs the raw truth, she insists.
No spin, no filter.
They'll get it. Damen Azures. Every name, every crime, let them see what happens when folks stand up. As night falls, Milbrook heals, gunfire silenced, hostages safe, corrupt officials cuffed under news choppers' glare. Can you see the city breathe again? Ryan, now acting chief after the department's purge, works with FBI to secure evidence, his fire-tested integrity earning respect. We'll rebuild, new training, policies, leadership, he tells Damon.
You'll shine.
Damen replies. Remember Dad's lesson, integrity's doing right, even unwatched. Can't you feel the dawn of a new Milbrook? Can you feel the quiet strength pulsing through Carter's auto repair as Harold Carter tightens the last bolt on a customer's car, refusing to let the day's seismic events shake his rock-steady routine? The shop's alive with the familiar hum of tools, but oh, isn't it inspiring how Harold stands unbowed, a Vietnam hero whose courage sparked a revolution in Milbrook? As dusk settles, he locks up, the clink of keys echoing in the stillness, only to find his son, Colonel Damen Carter, framed in the doorway, a silent sentinel of justice. "You know, this isn't really over," Harold says, his voice low, heavy with the wisdom of battles fought. "No," Damen agrees, his tone resolute, eyes scanning the horizon for unseen threats. "White's syndicate has roots we haven't dug up yet, people hungry for revenge." Harold's gaze hardens, his voice a steel vow.
Let them come.
"We'll be ready." Damen looks at his father, heart swelling with awe, this man, who taught him to face evil head-on, to never flinch from a righteous fight. "Yes," Damen murmurs, soft but fierce, "we will." Can't you feel the unbreakable bond, the fire of their shared defiance? As night drapes Milbrook in a velvet hush, the town feels transformed. Can you sense it? The air's cleaner, the shadows less menacing, as if the weight of corruption has lifted. Citizens stroll the streets, heads high, hearts light, knowing justice has finally crashed through their town like a cleansing wave. But oh, don't you shiver at the thought? In secure bunkers across the nation, intelligence analysts burn the midnight oil, sifting through Alexander White's fireproof files. New names flicker on screens, new connections SN. Ache across maps, new threats rear their heads. The war's not done, it's just shifted to a vaster, darker battlefield. And somewhere out there in the inky unknown, the ghost waits, silent, vigilant, ready to strike. Isn't that chilling promise of justice thrilling? The federal courthouse in Milbrook's never seen such a spectacle. Can you picture it? News vans clog the streets, their satellite dishes blooming like mechanical flowers under a crisp morning sky. Reporters from coast to coast swarm the steps, cameras flashing, each vying to capture the dawn of one of America's biggest corruption trials. Inside, Harold Carter adjusts his tie, the sharp fabric of his dress uniform hugging him as perfectly as it did decades ago, his bronze star and purple hearts gleaming under fluorescent lights. Isn't it humbling? He's the prosecution's first witness, the spark that ignited this inferno of justice. Damen stands beside him, his own dress uniform drawing odd glances from federal marshals passing by. "Ready for this, Dad?" he asks, voice steady but warm. "Been ready for 40 years. Harold replies, quiet but ironclad. "Time these crooks paid for what they've done to our town." Can't you feel the weight of that moment, a hero stepping into history? The courtroom door swings open, and Rachel Turner, notepad clutched tight, emerges, her eyes alight with a journalist's hunger. "They're bringing in the defendants. You've got to see this." Inside, the scene's jaw-dropping, 3 rows packed with a fallen mighty, ex-mayor Thomas Gregory, former chief William Anderson, Officer James Blake, and dozens of corrupt officials, their faces a gallery of dread. Behind them sits Thomas Lynch, the cartel kingpin whose empire's in ruins, his smug arrogance swapped for grim defeat. Can you see their downfall, stark and undeniable? Judge Michael Harrison enters, his unblemished reputation the shield against White's lingering reach. Harold notes the beefed-up security detail, smart, given the syndicate's long shadow. "Be seated." Harrison commands, his voice a gavel's echo. "We're here for one of the most pivotal corruption trials in recent history. Charges include racketeering, extortion, conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and more." Isn't that litany of crimes staggering? Assistant U.S. Attorney Rebecca Martinez steps to the podium, her opening statement a masterstroke, calm but devastating. "Your Honor, will prove not just corruption, but a system crafted to prey on the innocent, a machine that turned cops into crooks, public servants into predators, nearly shattering a community. But oh, it's also the tale of that community's fight back." She faces the jury, voice ringing with conviction. Our first witness is Harold Carter, a decorated Vietnam vet whose courage lit the fuse for this reckoning. Can you feel the jury lean in, captivated? As Harold takes the stand, every eye locks on him, defendant's fancy lawyers poised to pounce. "Mr. Carter," Martinez begins, "tell the court about last month, starting with Officer Blake's visit to your shop." Harold's voice, clear as a bell, recounts the chilling confrontation, the threats, the vandalism, his wrongful arrest, each word a brick in the towering case against Milbrook's rot. Isn't his steadiness awe-inspiring? Why refuse their protection money? Martinez asks. Harold's eyes meet Blake's across the courtroom, unflinching. 40 years ago, I fought for freedom, justice, the rule of law. No corrupt cop was stealing that from my town. Defense lawyers cry foul, but Judge Harrison shuts them down. He sees the juries riveted by Harold's raw truth. Can't you feel the courtroom pulse with his resolve? Next, Officer Ryan Banks takes the stand, his testimony a dagger to the corrupt heart. From within their ranks, he exposes years of abuse, illegal orders, cover-ups. When he reveals saving evidence of Harold's arrest, defendants slump, their doom sealed. Why preserve it? Martinez probes. Ryan's answer, simple yet profound, rings out, I became a cop to protect, not prey. Doesn't that conviction stir your soul? A brief recess brings a jolt. Damon's phone buzzes with Lieutenant Foster's urgent message. Sir, movement. White's associates spotted in Milbrook. Keep eyes on them. Damon orders, voice low. Don't move till they act. We need this trial done. Back in session, a bombshell. James Blake, the turncoat cop, testifies. Defendants glare, venom in their eyes, but Blake's focus is his daughter in the gallery, her presence his anchor. Officer Blake, Martinez starts, explain the corruption structure. He spills it all, protection rackets feeding vast crime networks, evidence destroyed, honest cops silenced. His words nail Gregory as the architect, Lynch as the cartel's muscle. Defense lawyers try to paint him a liar, but Ryan's preserved records, Blake's own, crush their lies. Can you see the case solidify? The day's climax hits when Rachel Turner testifies, her years of suppressed exposés, threatened witnesses, vanished evidence, laid bare. What changed? Martinez asks.
Rachelsgase finns Damen.
Someone gave Milbrook's good people the shield to stand and speak truth. As she steps down, a defendant, a disgraced judge, leaps up, ranting. This trial's a sham. You all know the real game. Harrison's gavel cracks like thunder. One more and you're out. The judge sits, but his glance to the gallery screams signal. Damon catches it, earpiece active. Foster, that was a cue.
Check the courtois perimte.
Minutes later, Foster's back. Armed pros circling, blending with crowds. Williams' team ready? Damen asks. Hold till they move, let's see their hand. Can't you feel the tension coil? The trial rolls on, evidence mounting, millions in dirty payments, incriminating footage, recorded plots. A recess brings a chill. Damon spots a face outside, one of White's escaped lieutenants, eyes cold through the window. They're not here to free defendants, they're here to silence them. Ryan. Damon calls softly. Get Dad to the secure room. Things are heating up. Ryan nods, grasping the stakes. White's loyalists' last gasp to bury their secrets. Afternoon session starts with an FBI accountant tracing the syndicate's cash flow, but mid-testimony, lights die.
Darkness cloaks the courtroom, White's infiltrated guard drawing weapon.
Chaos looms, but oh, hasn't Damon planned for this? Emergency lights flare, generators humming, exits sealed save for safe routes. Federal marshals clash, but Williams' elite team, hidden in plain sight, ends it fast. No casualties, minimal shots. Power returns. Harrison restores order like nothing happened. Nice try. Damon mutters, knowing the captives will lead to White's last holdouts. Isn't that foresight stunning? The trial surges, evidence overwhelming, financials, videos, testimonies painting a town nearly crushed by greed. The defense, deflated, fails to dent witnesses or claims. The jury deliberates just 4 hours. As Harrison prepares to read the verdict, Harold and Damon sit in the gallery, justice dawning. Unanimous verdict. Yes, Your Honor. Guilty. Guilty. Guilty.
Gregory pâle, Anderson et Gies, Lynch sans shake.
Harrison's voice booms. This corruption's depth is unmatched, a betrayal of trust. Sentences reign, life for Gregory, Anderson, Lynch, decades for others.
The message? Corruption est intolérable.
Can't you cheer that justice? As defendants are led away, Blake pauses by Harold.
I'm sorry for everything.
Harold studies him. Fix it, Clean other towns.
Milbrook no talon.
Outside, reporters mob Rachel, her coverage now legendary. Staying in Milbrook? She asks Damen, cameras rolling. My job's done, he says. Heroes are Dad Ryan, every citizen who said enough. They keep Milbrook true. That evening, in the shop's quiet, Harold and Damen share a moment, sun setting on a reborn town. You did good, son. Harold says. We did. Damen corrects. Everyone who stood, spoke, fought, they won this. His phone buzzes, Foster, with new towns, new fights. Harold sees his son's eyes. Another mission? Always, Dad. Another bully to teach justice's promise. Can't you feel their legacy? Night falls, Milbrook transformed, hope, courage replacing corruption's shadow. Citizens walk free, fearless. Ryan in the new station, eyes Harold's photo, defying Blake, a beacon of their past, their victory.
Damenes message glows. Keep watch. Keep Milbrook safe.
Ryan smiles. Damon's moved on, but his impact lingers in the reformed force, renewed community, one man's courage changing all. Harold finishes a repair, shop quiet, peaceful now, not fear's tense hush. His bronze star gleams, a reminder of battles, Vietnam, Milbrook, life, each teaching courage. His phone buzzes, Damen, this town's like Milbrook pre-cleanup. Ready for our lesson. Harold smiles, recalling teaching young Damen to stand firm. Now, his son spreads that fire. A customer enters, but the TV catches Harold. Another town rises against corruption. Milbrook's spark spreads, fueled by those who saw courage's power. Can't you feel the movement grow? Harold taught Damen change starts with one refusing to yield. He never dreamed how far it'd reach. Outside, Milbrook's sun climbs, corruption's shadow gone.
Open courage shining.
Somewhere in a town choked by shadows, the ghost moves, silent, ready to aid those who dare fight. That's Carter men, standing against bullies. What drives someone to face corruption? Courage? Desperation?
Nothing left to lose?
In Milbrook, it began with one veteran refusing to kneel, one father's call summoning justice. But isn't the true question how long we stay silent, complicit in systems we loathe? Harold didn't just save Milbrook. He showed a badge or gun isn't justice's mightiest tool, it's the courage to say no. The ghost roams, igniting other Milbrooks, urging folks to stand and say enough. Justice doesn't fall from the sky, it's fought for by those brave enough to try. Can't you feel that call to rise?